From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America. Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Eric Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. And over the next few minutes, we'll take you from the United States and around the world, covering all the top stories of the day. But before that, let's take a look at the latest headlines. An Israeli airstrike kills a top Hezbollah commander in southern Lebanon. In the aftermath of this latest killing, the Biden administration warns Israel of sparking a larger regional war. NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg says China should face consequences for supporting Russia's war in Ukraine. Stoltenberg accuses Beijing of providing high-grade technology and weapons to Moscow. A U.S. delegation, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, arrives in India to meet Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama. This just days ahead of the Dalai Lama's planned trip to the United States, where he'll undergo medical treatment. Thousands of South Korean doctors protest against the government's plan to increase seats in medical colleges. At least 10,000 doctors walk out of clinics, forcing the country's medical system to collapse. And Thailand becomes the first Southeast Asian nation to legalize same-sex marriage. The new legislation will be presented to the king and goes into effect 120 days after final approval. We begin in Asia. Russia's Vladimir Putin is visiting North Korea for the first time in 24 years. Putin will meet North Korean leader Kim Jong-Un in Pyongyang in a bid to boost bilateral ties. The two leaders last met in September of 2023 when Kim Jong-Un traveled by train to Russia's Far East. Now ahead of his visit to Pyongyang, Putin interacted with North Korean media and praised Kim Jong-Un. Putin also thanked Kim for supporting Russia in its war against Ukraine. Now, according to reports, the two leaders will sign a partnership agreement which includes issues like security, space cooperation, and trade. Putin reportedly wants North Korea to send construction workers to Russia to fill the void left by so many deployed on the front lines in Ukraine. North Korea says it's also planned a military parade in honor of the Russian leader. Now, Putin will be joined by his defense and foreign ministers who will meet their respective North Korean counterparts. Meanwhile, the White House says that it's concerned about growing ties between Russia and North Korea.
We're not concerned about the trip. What we are concerned about, Trevor, is the deepening relationship between these two countries. Not just because of the impacts it's going to have on the Ukrainian people, because we know North Korean ballistic missiles are still being used to hit Ukrainian targets, but because there could be some reciprocity here that could affect security on the Korean Peninsula.
Now, Putin's trip comes at a time when relations between North Korea and South Korea remain on edge. In fact, just hours before Putin was to land in Pyongyang, 20 to 30 North Korean soldiers attempted to cross the demilitarized zone that separates the North and the South. Seoul's military says that North Korean troops even managed to breach the border momentarily, but were sent back after South Korean troops opened fire. Seoul claims that several North Korean soldiers were wounded in a landmine explosion after they were forced away from the border. South Korea has also accused North Korea of carrying out a military buildup along the border.
The North Korean military is carrying out various types of activities at the frontline area, including making barren land, planting landmines, reinforcing tactical roads, and installing unidentified structures which appear to be anti-tank barriers. our military is closely monitoring the activities of the North Korean military and closely cooperating with the United Nations Command while maintaining a firm military readiness.
Now, just last month, Putin visited Beijing and met Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now he's in Pyongyang meeting North Korean leader Kim Jong-Un, and it appears as if Putin's friends list has been cut down to just his two Asian neighbors. And in Peru, hundreds of children from the Abohun Indigenous group have accused their teachers of sexual abuse. The alleged crimes took place at public schools in northern Peru, and a total of 524 cases of rape and abuse have been reported by both boys and girls, which date as far back as 2010. The incidents came to light after a representative from the Abohun community publicly revealed the troubling allegations last month. The community's representative says 60% of the victims likely have been infected with AIDS and that many of the teenage girls are either pregnant or single mothers.
There
are 524 reports to teachers for raping female students with 60% of probability of AIDS infection to teenagers. We also have a lot of pregnant teenagers and single mothers with AIDS. It must be intervened now. It's urgent. I am outraged because we don't see justice. If the state doesn't provide justice, we will apply it on our own.
Now, Abohun representatives say that men getting married to a teenager or a child is accepted in their culture. However, sexually abusing them as children is not tolerated.
In the Awajan culture, you could get married to a teenager or a child that was born and grew up, but they waited until she was mature to marry them. But not raping them when they're minors. This has happened. Never have children been raped because of a cultural thing. This hasn't happened. We've defended boys and girls.
Now, the Peruvian government has launched an investigation into the alleged crimes. However, the announcement of a probe came only after two government ministries provoked widespread anger by equating the alleged abuse with the culture of the indigenous community. Even the Prime Minister of Peru said it was a cultural practice before making clear that he was against it.
We said abuse to minors is in no way justifiable. But we should also bear in mind, I don't know how to put it so that my answer is not inappropriate, but it's a cultural practice that also happens within these communities. Yet, I want to be clear with that. Nothing can justify any violation of boys, girls, and teenagers' well-being.
Now, the government has said that all the victims will in fact receive psychological help and HIV treatment. And Peru's Human Rights Grievance Department has called for the accused teachers to be immediately removed from the schools where they teach. And in China, German apparel brand Adidas has launched an inquiry into allegations of compliance violations. The key market for the sportswear apparel company came under scrutiny after senior staff members were reportedly involved in large-scale bribery involving millions of dollars. The investigation opened after the company received a whistleblower complaint. And the anonymous letter, which claims to have been written by employees of Adidas in China, accused several senior workers in the company of receiving kickbacks from service providers other than the ones it was doing business with. A senior manager from a different division also reportedly received millions of dollars in cash from suppliers along with physical items such as real estate. Now Adidas has acknowledged the anonymous complaint and said it was investigating the matter along with external legal counsel. The company also added that it takes corruption allegations very seriously. Shares of Adidas fell 3.7% on Monday after the bombshell whistleblower letter went public. Adidas is the world's second largest sportswear retailer. The Greater China region, which includes mainland China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, contribute 15% to the company's sales. And in mainland China alone, Adidas is the second largest international sportswear brand behind the American firm Nike. However, the market share of Adidas has significantly decreased due to competition from local competitors. Adidas also lost market share after deciding not to use cotton grown in China's Xinjiang province over human rights violations. In 2021, Adidas, along with Nike and other prominent Western apparel brands, faced a boycott in China due to their stance against the alleged use of forced labor in the production of cotton in Xinjiang. And just last year, Adidas slowly recovered from the 2021 boycott after reporting increased profits in the first quarter, boosted by demand for classic sneakers like the Samba. However, with the recent allegations of corruption among senior Chinese managers, Adidas is staring at a credibility deficit in the sneaker-hungry Asian market. And here in the United States, the summer is coming in hot. 1 in 5 Americans, or 75 million people, are under extreme heat warnings. The National Weather Service forecasts that this will be the first significant heat wave of the season, expanding from the Midwest and into the Northeast. Here's our report with more.
Most Americans are flocking to water parks to escape the heat, while others are lining up for cold drinks. As individuals attempt to stay cool, experts warn it's not the heat wave that they should fear, but the heat dome. This weather phenomenon has pushed over 70 million people, that's 1 in 5 Americans, under some level of heat alert. Meteorologists estimate about 150 million people will experience temperatures above 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 degrees Celsius. And readings could rise over 100 degrees or 38 degrees Celsius for around 9 million people. Numerous cities in the Midwest and the Northeast will experience multiple days of extreme heat. And as such temperatures aren't unprecedented, their duration in many locations will be unusually long.
I looked at the forecast, I saw, all right, it's going to be toasty on Monday.
That's why we came here. We knew there was like some water relief.
Electric grids and wholesale prices will be stressed as demand rises with the rising temperatures. Experts warn that heat illnesses may also spike, with the elderly, children and outdoor workers particularly vulnerable. Officials explain that some affected areas will have their own heat protocols. To provide some respite, cooling centers will open across New York City and Burlington, and cooling kits will also be distributed to people working outdoors.
And I have to say that it is exceptionally hot, even for this area here in this part of June right now, where the only real escape when you have little ones like I do is the pool. We're going to head to right here. It definitely helps. Other than that, you need an air conditioning unit, window ones, whatever kind, or a fan just like directly blowing over you. That's the only way to survive this heat.
Death from extreme heat has increased in recent years. About 2,300 people in the country died from extreme heat last year, and experts warn that the worst may be yet to come.
Some places may see record-breaking heat for early June. The same numbers might not break records at the peak of the season, but once again, it is still pretty early. And to the extent that that is a portent of what is to come later in the season, there is an expectation that particularly the latter half of summer across the western U.S. may be much warmer than average, perhaps record-breaking warmth in some regions later this year.
Meanwhile, wildfires continue to wreak havoc across California. Flames have engulfed over 14,000 acres, which is over 5,600 hectares of land, and nearly 1,000 people have been evacuated. As firefighters continue to battle the deadly flames, the Los Angeles County Fire Department used choppers to fasten the process. Apart from California, wildfires also continue to engulf New Mexico. Officials in Ruidoso ordered local residents to immediately evacuate as flames threatened the village. Eyewitness footage and photos captured the severity of the South Fork fire, which since yesterday has grown to over 4,000 acres. Human-caused climate change is visibly affecting all parts of the world. Hot extremes have become more frequent and mercury levels tend to reach record highs. An intergovernmental panel on climate change warns that as long as human existence continues, the globe will continue to warm. The consequence will be even more severe for cities where the combination of buildings and concrete pavements creates an urban heat island.
And finally, questions about Biden's health persist. This after a video went viral on social media suggesting that President Biden has been replaced by a doppelganger who wears a mask designed to resemble the president. The video was posted by a conspiracy theory account on X, which is also followed by Donald Trump Jr. Now, MAGA supporters are backing the claim, and some of them actually believe that the commander-in-chief has multiple clones as well. Our final report gets you more details about this bizarre conspiracy theory.
US President Joe Biden's awkward welcomes and zoned-out appearances have once again sparked discussions about his age and cognitive health. The 81-year-old Democrat, who is eyeing a second term in the Oval Office, is already the oldest sitting president in the nation's history. And now, with the recent viral videos showing him confused and lost, Biden is back under scrutiny ahead of the crucial November vote. In one such video, he freezes for about 30 seconds as others around him dance at the White House Juneteenth concert. In another clip, the US president appears to be sleeping while sharing the stage with several world leaders to commemorate the 80th anniversary of D-Day in Normandy. Biden also made gaffes at the G7 summit in Italy just last week with his awkward salute and handshake with Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Now, fueling Biden's health concerns are conspiracy theories surfacing all over social media. Without any concrete proof, many social media users are claiming that it's not Biden, but his body double in these viral videos. A widely circulated video on X, formerly known as Twitter, suggests that Biden is being impersonated through mask technology that's used by the Central Intelligence Agency. The video claims to show documentation depicting changes in Biden's appearance, such as his earlobes, chin, skin texture, teeth, wrinkle lines, and even his signature. The viral video has garnered over 9 million views in just one day. However, it's worth noting that the account that posted the clip on X is run by a conspiracy theorist and is followed by Donald Trump Jr. and Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz. Meanwhile, netizens have also weighed in on the theory and have given mixed reactions. Some say Biden has undergone a bad surgery and Botox, while others claim it's not the president but his clone. One user said Biden's changed appearance could be explained by different lighting, expressions, and camera angles. Now, this is hardly the first time that suspicion about Biden's body double has surfaced. Last year, a similar absurd claim went viral on social media that suggested the Democratic leader had been replaced by a man who wears a mask designed to resemble the president. This was after a news clip of Biden's return to the US from Israel gained significant attention. But now, with the presidential election less than 5 months away, the doppelganger conspiracy theory has taken center stage in a bid to weaken the Democrats' re-election campaign.
That's our show for today. We certainly thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you right back here again tomorrow. Thanks again for watching. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on First Post America.